Hello everyone, for today's video we're going to look at yet another early CZ75. So far on this channel I have discussed the current production, my 2017 CZ75B, the 2013 CZ75B Retro, I have the 1995 Transitional, Franconia Custom CZ75, I have the 91 later Pre-B75, as well as the 1984 early CZ75. That particular one has the enamel paint finish. This particular example is a 1982 edition. It has the blued finish, and unlike the later ones, this one has made in Czechoslovakia on one line. I'm not sure how well you can actually see it, so I'll include a picture of it right about now. While the later Model 75s and the current production ones, made in Czechoslovakia or made in Czech Republic for the B models, it's much easier to see it. However, on the older ones, made in Czechoslovakia on one line, as far as I'm concerned, looks much better. This particular 75, I won it from an auction house over in Texas, and over a year ago, I was bidding on one very similar. In fact, it was also a 1982 edition. That one had the traditional plastic grips. This has original wood grips, and I know the original wood grips because, hang on, I'll be right back.
What the hell did you just say?
You know, I think I just said hung up instead of hang on just there. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm back now. So this is the 82 Pre-B, and this is the 91 Pre-B. These are aftermarket wood grips by Triple K Advantage. They're reproductions of the original wood grips as seen on this particular 75. Now, I am aware you can't see the grips too well, so I'll insert a close-up picture right about now. So as you can see the difference between the reproduction grips by Triple K Advantage versus the original grips made by CZ. On the reproductions, the logo is a bit deeper into the wood. It's more of a matte finish, where on the original grips, it's a little bit shinier. It's probably just the finish they put on the grips. What do I mean probably? It more than likely is. Now, of course, one of the first things I did when I got this firearm was to test whether or not current production magazines will work on this one. As with the 1984 Pre-B I have, doesn't really work too well, which is interesting because the 91 CZ and my 95 CZ current magazines work just fine. One thing I did find interesting about this firearm is this is the original magazine. It is partially serialized to the gun. The original magazine brake is in the firearm, but drops free. Whereas on the other CZ, I have the 84 one, it did have the arched magazine brake. I changed that out, put the flat one in so it would just feed much better. Whereas this one didn't need to do that. Anyway, the next thing I did was I did go out to CZ Custom because I felt it was most appropriate to show this example to them as well. When I got there, we were looking at it. They were stunned at the condition this particular Model 75 is in. The firearm does have some handling marks, a few scratches here and there, but considering that the gun is over 40 years old, it's in pretty good condition. So I did decide to get a new recoil spring and flat magazine brake before I shoot this gun. So as I'm waiting on that, I decided to take the slide off to just see, how much fouling, how dirty is it, how much cleaning am I gonna have to do on it before I go and shoot it. I take the slide off. There wasn't even dust on the inside of this frame. The crew at CZ Custom was looking over it as well. There was no wear mark on the slide rails of this model. There was no wear on the magazine brake. Well, shouldn't say no, there's a little bit of wear. It's probably from when I insert a current production magazine, it just rubbed against it, probably causing that wear. We looked at the bore, there was no fouling anywhere. There was no fouling underneath the trigger. There was no grease anywhere to be found, nothing. We even contemplated that it was maybe gone through a sonic cleaner, but that probably would have ruined the bluing, or at least not so much ruined it, but it would have been obvious it had gone through that. There's no sign of that on here. Eventually, when I took the grips off, there was just a little bit of rust. I've seen worse on brand new firearms. Rust came right off, it was no big deal. CZ Custom was telling me more than likely this gun has never been fired. Not even test fired back in 1982. Now on top of that, this CZ75 has no import marks. How it made it to the United States, I have no idea. Now you're probably going to want to see the inside of this firearm, so let's take a look. Yeah, CZ Custom was impressed, and so was I. This firearm was listed as used on Gunbroker. However, looking at it, probably should have been listed as new old stock. And the only wear I see on the firing pin retaining plate is just from where the hammer is actually resting on it. More than likely that could have been just from being dry fired a couple times when it was assembled. I know there were pictures of the slide being retracted on Gunbroker. Probably when they sent the slide home, they maybe dry fired it. Other than that, this seems to be a new old stock, as I just said. 75, I almost said 75B. Early CZ75. Not the earliest, obviously, but early enough. I should have moved my hand, I was covering it up too much. Now, I don't recall if there was any other CZ75s which have been seen with the lettering filled in. Now, the serial number has also been filled in with the same coloring as the other roll marks. Not as prominent, but it's there. I initially thought that it was done by the previous owner. CZ Customs looking at it, they're saying with how well it was done, also with how well it's done on Made in Czechoslovakia, their bet is it was done by the factory as well. I do remember a thread about where there were wood grips offered on, I know the early 75s. I've seen one here on YouTube, was a 1980 variant of the short rail. Did have wood grips, also had an adjustable rear sight. But the other ones, I haven't seen wood grips on it. There's another later pre-B, very similar to this one, which has wood grips, is why I put them on this one. However, I haven't seen many with the wood grips, which I did initially plan to order a pair of the plastic grips to put on this, but I'm just going to leave it alone. And on top of that, while I was at CZ Custom, they recommend I don't shoot this particular firearm just because of the condition it's in, and as I was there, I was going, you know what, it's probably a good thing I don't, as much as I want to. I mean, that's half the fun of owning these. The condition of this firearm, and the fact that I can say that I have pretty much a new old stock early pre-B CZ75, pretty cool. Now, I guess that means I just have one more to get. Well, as time goes on, I'll see what I can do. Well, that was my video on a basically new old stock 1982 CZ75. As always, I hope you enjoyed it. Do remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell icon to notify when I upload new content. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and have a good day. See ya!